Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's a podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we look at the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I'm Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
Joe, you ever heard about like a fucking show?
No.
Okay. Well, they make these things on TV, yeah? No, this is gonna be wild for you, but like they write down words and they pay guys to pretend like they're real words. It's not
Dragon Ball. Yeah.
Okay. You heard about Dragon Ball? They made like other Dragon Balls where they don't show Goku. Like imagine like it was just about the driving instructors and it was like just them, yeah?
That'd be pretty good, probably.
Yeah, they make shit like that. It's called shows. Anyway, you ever heard about like a show like show's good, but like it's got a toxic fandom. Like oh man, too bad about the fandom.
Yeah, I hear some version of that phrase or read some version of that phrase roughly every 30 seconds online.
Yeah. Fandom, as far as I can tell, this is from my personal experience, fandom fucking sucks. Like the concept of being in a fandom seems like being in a Saw game. It feels like a big trap, an exclusively no-win scenario that can only fucking backfire on you.
You've had this exploration of fandom, this bug up your ass for a while now, and I to be honest, I have not had the same level of thought on it. Not because I disagree that like the fandoms that we're about to discuss are like a bit of a turnoff, but for me, it's just like I want to interact with something by sticking my head in a bucket solo and then not talking to anyone about it. Or maybe like once in a while, like I look around and I realize I'm alone with you and like there are no police nearby and I can be like, okay, can we talk about JoJo now?
Or what you've been actually doing, which is like telling me all the different puns for beats in Atomic Crops.
Yeah.
The health pickups are called heart beats.
Yes, and then you can get an item that's called a beat drop, and the icon design is a beat wearing DJ headphones. It's flawless. It's so fucking good. I get pissed just thinking about it because I didn't make it.
It's pretty good. But okay, so here's my thought about a fucking fandom. When I'm talking about it, I'm talking about like a big, like the fandom. You know, like when you know, fucking, you're talking about like when someone says the Steven Universe fandom, like you know what they're talking about. It's like the big one where everyone posted, like the big group, the huge group. It seems to me that a good fandom is not a real thing because in much the same way a good boss can both exist and isn't a real thing, a fandom is just like a ticking clock to like when some guy in it gets enough internal clout that he gets to start DMing teens without fucking consequence. Like that, I feel from what I've seen from the outside, it's like that is the life cycle of a fandom, and it cannot change.
Eventually, they become Jonestown.
Yeah, because I mean, and this is, like I see like YouTube video essays about like so and so fandom drama explained, and it's like 2 hours long, and I'm just like, what's to explain? Like the fandom is full of weird teens. Like they got into teen drama, like that. That's it. That's what happened. Like I know about weird teens. Like I seen them. I went to high school too.
As a guy who doesn't look for 2-hour video essays about what's happening in a fandom I'm not a part of.
I don't look for them. I don't watch them.
They don't even get presented to me. That's because I'm like pure and like more destined for heaven than you are. But
yeah, that's true.
The fact of the matter is when something does break through the veil, it seems to me to be exclusively people in berserker mode.
Yeah. Like, the only time a fandom breaches containment is when they're fucking, like, doing a raid.
Yeah, I think, like, the most classic example of the raid, as you said it, was the Rick and Morty special sauce McDonald's thing where I was subjected to videos of like people standing on counters quoting the show while people who make barely minimum wage are just there.
Yeah.
Just trying to get through the shift.
Talk about comedy sucks. I watched that show when it was out, when it was like fresh and not like tainted, you know, in the public eye. And I remember thinking like, this show's pretty funny. This got some funny gags and a wild sensibility. And like then the fandom started doing the raids, and now that shit's like just the most rancid show. I could never watch it. And like I think the other sort of huge example of a fandom raid, where they like get on their Viking outfits and like go and fucking do the first scene of the Northman in real life, is the when Ted Lasso, when season 2 of Ted Lasso came out, and a couple of people were like, I don't know, this is supposed to be a comedy, but it doesn't seem there's a lot of jokes. And like 1,000 blue check people who have like PhDs in psychology were like, I will fucking blood eagle you for not liking the show about soccer therapy. Like you are the Satan on earth.
You will be committed by the end of the day because you said these things.
When I see people talking about like, the fandom, it's just like, all I hear is that they are opting in to one day have this shit be going on in their lives, which is so, I don't like that.
The way I interact with a show or a piece of media is just like very, well, frankly, Protestant, because it's just like me and the text, and like that's the relationship.
Yes.
And that's just like how I've always done it. And I cannot explain why wanting to open myself up to just like a community to further explore like something I like seems so distasteful to me. But it just feels like I am making the scope of the problem far too large all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. I would say my most honest attempt at being part of a fandom, and I wasn't even like contributing, I was just sort of there. When Smash Brothers first came out, I was on the Donkey Kong Discord because there was just a bunch of nerds who were like, I've been in the lab with DK. I got some real weird shit I'm working on. And I did. That was fun because it was like information was being produced by a community, and like this was useful info.
Yeah, that's where you had to go to get the frame data. And we're not a scrub who doesn't learn the frame data.
And well, now my understanding is Donkey Kong is like the lowest of the low tier. So I checked in a while ago, and it's just sort of like,
I'm really gonna do it this time.
Yeah, I mean the vibes aren't great. It is a bunch of people co-commiserating about the cartoon ape, and I don't need to see that. It doesn't make me feel better.
I completely understand, and I was big time agreeing in my brain when you were talking about like when I interact with a piece of art, when I experience fucking a work, what's happening is a personal experience where I am in conversation with the work, with the piece. The place where the magic happens is me. Like
it's the bucket where you stick your head in, where the art is.
Yes. And you could argue like, are you also not in conversation with the artist? And like you could argue that is a critical lens that is very valuable, but it's not, true always. What is always true is that like you are reacting to it, and like that to me is what's valuable. So why fandom scares me is you're into that sacred equation. You are introducing a new variable for no reason, which is some fuckers posting. I mean, like, to talk about Steven Universe, like, I watched that. I really enjoyed Steven Universe when it was coming out. I eventually fell off just because I was like, you know what? I feel like I've gotten all I'm going to get out of Steven Universe. It was good, but I don't really have any more interest, so I'm just going to let it go. And then, like, people kept posting, and they were getting really mean. there was I believe, a big drama because someone was getting death threats for drawing fan art wrong. And like, I was feeling it happening. I was like thanking God that I had already divested myself of the show, because I'm like, this is it. This is exactly what I'm afraid of, which is like, some posts are deriving me of joy, which, like, it's so rare and valuable to have a thing in this damned world you can derive joy from, and to think that there is a thing out there that via the power of posts alone can take it from you is fucked.
But on the flip side too, though, like, we just saw The Northman, right? Which is a Viking movie about Vikings and how dying in a volcano is the coolest thing that can happen to you.
Yes.
Obviously, with anything Viking related, there's just white supremacist baggage, and then what I saw is people being like, "Oh, because there are going to be Nazis out there who are going to like this movie. It's a dud." So if you take that tact, you're also just denying yourself an opportunity to just watch a piece of art.
To me, it's exactly the same as, like, it's like, oh, you're going to watch that? I hear the fandom's toxic. And it's like, well, no. Like, it's the same thing as, like, you're letting posts steal a treat from you. Like, don't you want a treat? Like, it's also, Joe, I think this also brings up an important thing. So this is a very similar topic to sicko mindset, which we discussed long ago. You are not familiar with sicko mindset. It is the sort of mantra that you must, in order to be a well-rounded person with a brain that is genius mode, you must understand that everything you like
kind of sucks a little. Just like a little. Like, it has to suck a little. It keeps you grounded.
Like, even the most intellectual work is kind of stupid. Like, that's not bad. It gives you credit. And this, the sort of, when I look at fandom and I see the scary part that I hate, what I'm seeing is the antithesis of sicko mindset, anti-sicko mindset, if you will. And what's so scary about it is that you don't even have to succumb to it for it to hurt you. An example is that Northman shit, where, like, people who, rightfully are like, I don't want to support Nazis. Nazis like this movie. That must mean it's bad. It's like, no. They just like anything that has a fucking cool guy in it who's white. It doesn't matter if it is anti-Nazi. They'll find a way to square that circle regardless. It's a good movie. But, like, for example, Joe, I've been lately watching the television programs The Righteous Gemstones and Succession. Now, I will say of both of these television programs, they're exceptionally good. They're so funny and well acted and well written. I think they're some of the best stuff I've seen in a long time.
So, the Succession, they say nut nut?
Yeah. Kendall says when something gets crazy, he says it gets nut.
That's pretty good.
It is, yeah. Yeah, dude, I keep fucking saying, it is obscene to me that they do not advertise that from the creator of Peep Show as, like, the number one selling point of Succession, because it is so many Peep Show lines. Like, can you imagine Jez saying, like, oh yeah, man, the club got nut, and Mark's like, what are you saying, Jeremy? What is nut? And it's like, it's exactly Peep Show.
To me is a super hands line.
Yo, okay, there are so many. Okay, Jesus Christ, there are, like, any given episode of Succession has, like, 3 lines that in the show don't read as laugh lines because, like, rich, important people with fancy clothes who everyone takes seriously said them. But if Superhands said it, you would fucking lose your mind. Anyway, the point being, I'm watching these shows when there's no new episodes coming out, because when there fucking were, I couldn't go 2 seconds without seeing some motherfucker posting about them. And at that time, watching either of these shows was, like, the most distasteful thing I could imagine. These shows were my fucking enemy. I wish they would go away. I can't know how to hear more about Kendall. Fuck. But now I know he says nut, and it's like, I almost let the posts take that shit from me. And it makes me so upset.
The problem, I think, what you're describing is, like, we're talking about water cooler talk a little bit. Like,
yes. Oh, fuck.
You're talking about like what happened. For the record, when Game of Thrones was in full swing, that was the water cooler talk show, which was so wild to me that the Titty Dragon show was like what you talked about in The Office. That was fucking wild. But the feeling, I think, a lot of this, when you're not watching any of these things, but they're still coming through your feed, is that like they're hauling the water cooler into your house. And then they're like, all right, we're having a conversation. Come on in. And you're like, but that's my house. Don't do that. And it doesn't matter.
You know what it feels like? I told you this story. Oh, God. You know what it feels like? Like a year or so ago. No, it was pre-COVID because I was at a restaurant. So like 2 or 3 years ago. A good friend of mine from college who I hadn't seen since I graduated was visiting Chicago. He lived in another city now. And so me and my wife and a couple that we're friends with who also knew him in college all made plans to see him, have dinner with him. I was so excited. When I got there, we all sat down. He started talking about how he had bought property in the town he lived in. And our friends started talking about how they had also recently bought property. And the entire dinner, they were talking about stuff that happens when you buy property. And me and my wife were just sitting there basically silent, being like, I'm in hell. Like, I can't, like, what's going on? Can I die? And that's what it's like to fucking see 1,000 tweets on your timeline being like, not Bran saying that. And I'm like, who's Bran? What did he say? Like, why is it important? Shut up. Get off of me. And I know people are like, you can just mute that. That's work. And especially on Twitter, the UI being what it is, that's the most onerous homework I can imagine. I will never mute a bunch of words because that's very hard. I'll never remember what menu allows you to do this.
I am also thinking now, did you watch Walking Dead at all?
No, I watched the pilot and was like, that's probably as good as it's getting, and stopped.
I did not watch it, but the people I did talk about it, I think, had the right mindset, which is like, man, I hate this fucking show. Can't wait to watch more of it. But they would, especially towards the end of it, they would have a thing called Talking Dead, which is Chris Hardwick would be sitting in a chair and just be like, that show you just saw? Wasn't that wild? Let's reflect. And its existence means there's enough appetite for that sort of content, which to me is bizarre.
It's ghoulish is what it is. Fuck. It's anti-Sicko mindset, dude. It's just like, that was so good that like we need to... It's not... Okay, actually. It's not even that like, wasn't that so good that you want to talk about it with your friends? Because like, obviously you're going to want to talk about the things that are meaningful to you with your friends. But this isn't that. This is like some fucking guys just talking about what just happened. And it's not like it's an analysis because the show just aired. Like there's not enough time for them to have thought up good thoughts yet to like have a critical analysis yet. It really is just a whoa cool show. And like, this brings me up in my head brain something about Sicko mindset that's very crucial. Why Sicko mindset is so crucial is because when you don't have it, when you become a fan of a thing, which will happen, being alive, and you don't have Sicko mindset, you really run the risk of deifying that thing, the thing you love. Like, well, I love it because it's great, and now I've defined it in my brain. In my brain's dictionary, thing equals great. So now it is set in stone. It can never not be that. If you had Sicko mindset, you'd know thing equals great, also stupid, kind of dumb. And then you're allowed to have some leeway there, some flexibility. When you've set it in stone and deified it, and especially when it becomes sort of part of you, you run the risk of replacing part of your personality with it. If you're wondering, like, give me an example, any fucker who posts video essays about Star Wars, anyone who still has something to say about The Last Jedi now, like, that is the sort of ghoul that makes my blood run cold.
There's a huge content mill element here, though, whereas like this fandom community produces slop that is consumed, which then causes ads to be displayed. So, like, it will never be discouraged.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's part and parcel of the whole fucking world, is that anything bad is wildly encouraged, and anything good can only lose money.
One time I was bored and I looked at the video game generals board on 4chan. I specifically went to the roguelikes board, and it's just a bunch of people calling each other degenerates. And it seemed like everyone there like hated roguelikes, but were playing them. And like, well, obviously that's not a healthy community. I did feel seen.
Yeah. Well, you could also argue that like the whole like fandoms are the people who hate the thing the most. That's because, in my explanation here, when you deify the thing to that degree, when you have calcified in your mind thing equals great, end of story, and then like Thing episode 3 comes out and it's like flawed because it was made by human beings, the cognitive dissonance of like Thing equals great but Thing 3 equals just kind of good will cause you to fly into a berserker rage and be full of fury. It's so scary. You know, actually, Joe, you mind if I get personal for a bit?
Nut.
If I get nut. You mind if I really get nut? One of the things that makes me particularly so that makes it so repugnant to me, the idea of fandom, is because the last fandom I was in, where I was like participating and was like online with strangers talking about something as it came out, and was like theorizing and like looking at ancillary like ARG material and like looking at the wiki. You know what the last thing that I did that for was?
I mean, I do because it's in the document, but you need to say it so I can laugh.
Fucking Lost.
Lost? Really? I mean, a show about a freaky island really should be a slam dunk.
Yeah, it should be. I remember fucking season 6. There was a big temple that they were trying to get to the whole time. They got to it. I was like, holy fuck. The temple. Like, this thing, like, this is the secret place on the island. This is going to be really important. There's a bunch of people there. I was like, who are these people? What are they doing here? What's their story? Oh my god. Like, next episode, the smoke monster killed all the people in the temple, and they all left. They were like, temple sucks. They left and they never came back. And that's when I'm just like, uh-oh, something's wrong.
Like, they can't land this.
Also, like, the creators were giving lots of interviews where they're like, this is always a character-based show. And I'm like, uh-oh, that means the plot's fucked. Like, they found a magical lighthouse that has, like, a big stone dial that changes where a mirror goes, and they have their names written on the dial, like the characters, and
That's missed. You are saying missed shit.
Yeah, it's... Well, I mean, like, Miss Shit's cool, and they, like, look at, like, they put it on their names, and they, like, see in the mirror, like, where they lived, and, like, scenes of their lives, and it's like, whoa, what the fuck? And the main character is like, I don't want anyone looking at my life, and he smashes it with a big hammer, and then they leave the lighthouse, and it's never discussed again. And then the ending, everyone says, there's been a big fucking Lost reappraisal lately, or people trying to say Lost actually is very good, and they're trying to say, like, people who didn't like the ending just didn't understand it. They thought that it meant that the island was purgatory. It's not, honey. I knew that the whole time. I understood it. It just sucked for me. Anywho, that fucking burned the fandom part out of my brain. Just like the amount of energy I put into it versus like the end just being like, it's we did our best, and it's like, oh fuck, like, I would have been a lot more able to enjoy that if I had just gone into it being like, let's see what's going on in the fucking show. Not being like, I wonder if they're ever going to explain the stuff about Alvar Hanso. Like, obviously they're not fucking 18-year-old Tom. Are you fucking stupid? Alvar Hanso?
When you say you were actively involved, you're talking about like you were on forums talking with other lost heads about
dude,
like
yeah.
theorizing. Okay, I'm just trying to understand what you mean, like what level of active community contribution we're talking about.
Like, I wasn't making art because I can't. I'm capable of it, but like, dude, I was like a big lost guy. Like, I would watch live watching party every week. People, and it just burned it out. I can't handle it anymore. I don't want to let that happen to me. And another thing about this is not. I'll say now, folks. The segue I got here is 0. I just want to say this because I think it's funny. One of the more horrific fandoms is fucking Brooklyn podcasts. It truly does feel like if you're in Brooklyn and you like one of the Brooklyn podcasts, you're basically in the IRA. Like you are doing car bombs about the people who like the podcast you don't like.
Yeah, we don't have foot soldiers. We should. We're missing out, aren't we?
No, we're not. I mean, because when I see motherfuckers talking about Cumtown and the Red Scare on my timeline, it's like nothing is more blackpilling than that. I'll see like a news story that's like the IPCC says they're all gonna do it this week because there's no point. I'm like, oh, that's pretty bad. But then I see someone like listing all the different women Adam Friedland has slept with and like ranking them by like perceived quality, and I'm like, this is the dregs of human existence. This is the worst it gets. Oh no.
Isn't one of the Red Scare girls on Succession?
Yeah, she's not very good. She's like fine. It's very odd whenever she's on screen. It's extremely distracting.
But what I'm asking, is there like a podcaster to TV show pipeline that we need to be like pursuing? Because I can also be not that great. That's fine.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the Red Scare sort of career trajectory had a lot of Peter Thiel capital backing it. So I guess we got to pivot to talking about how Young People's Blood.
I love Young People's Blood because it just makes me feel lighter, rejuvenated. It puts a little spring in my step. And here's the real deal. I game better when I drink it.
Exactly. And these young people who are like using their woke agenda to say that Young People Blood shouldn't be drunk by Peter Thiel and associates, they're just being selfish. They're elitists. You know, they're all like, I need my blood to pay off my college debt. College? Try being a working American. College? I'm sorry, rich boy. You need all that blood? Very selfish. Don't you have enough? So I feel like having said that, we're going to be on Succession any day now. We're going to play...
I was fine with another show. But that show's pretty good from what I understand. You like it.
Yeah. Fuck. You know what it is, Joe? Because I don't want to be the asshole who's like, all fandom's stupid. You're stupid if you do it. Because I know for a fact that there's a lot of people, especially for like a lot of like young weirdos, like queer youth, and just weirdos in general. Like a fandom is like one of the first places you can feel like open and like easy to be yourself. You don't have to feel like, is someone gonna think I'm fucking weird for wanting fucking Chrono to kiss the frog? They'll be like, no, Chrono kissing the frog rules, dude.
That ending is hard to get.
Yeah. Like, that's good. The issue is like the good part of that experience is how it replicates talking about some shit with your friends, which is objectively the best thing in the universe. It's what this podcast is. Talking about shit with your friends is the best thing that has ever occurred. The issue is when you introduce posting into that equation, you've instantly poisoned the well. It will, if you keep drinking from the well, you will become poisoned and die. Because like with enough, we talked about this in Posting 101. Like posting is the reason posting is so powerful is because it accesses the posting dimension, which is a hell energy dimension that humans were never meant to touch. And if you fucking linger too long in the posting dimension, you will become fucked up. Your group of friends discussing Chrono and the Frog will become a paramilitary organization that is swatting anybody who doesn't think Ted Lasso is funny. And it's like, yay. It's scary.
So that phenomenon, like, I think iterates over all types of fandom. And as another sort of example of this, I would like to read an excerpt from Dr. Devin Price's book, Laziness Does Not Exist. I know you have a newer book out right now that you're probably trying to push, but let us just talk about the last one.
We've never fucking positioned ourselves as like great marketers. This is not outside of our precedent here to just do it wrong.
Yeah, so here we go. But this is from the chapter, Your Achievements Are Not Your Worth.
That's not true. I'm pretty sure my worth is just Modesty City in the Sketches episode, but go on.
So many aspects of our lives have become gamified. Cooking blogs and YouTube channels change food preparation into performance. Twitter can make sharing jokes with your friends feel like a graded comedy class. Sites like Pinterest and Instagram have turned even craft making competitive. I really love watching videos of people mixing glitter, paint, and food coloring into clear, glue-based putties and slimes. Something about watching people swirl bright colors and sequins into clear goop is just endlessly soothing to me. And this is where it gets nut. Yet the online community devoted to these craft videos, they call themselves Slimers, is filled with backbiting, drama, and wrath. Popular accounts constantly fight with one another over who deserves credit for inventing a new slime formula, or who is the first to film their videos in a particular style. What was meant to be a soothing kind of silly activity has somehow transformed into a contentious, status-obsessed one.
I think this is the fucking thing about, like, this is just groups of weird teens. Like, groups of teens who are fucking weirdos, like, will always start backbiting and taking some perceived slight and making it like the most important thing in the world. It's happened to me. It's probably happened to you. It's happened to everyone listening. It's so normal. It's just that, like, when it is you and 5 buds who you see every day,
sliming it up,
the human brain is allowed to, or is capable of understanding that scale. When it is like 1,000, 10,000 guys, and like 100 of them, this is their full-time job, and if they don't win the fight, they lose their house. Like, that's when you really enter hell. That's when the posting dimension is like shooting lightning bolts into everybody, and they're casting spells humans were never meant to cast.
I just don't imagine I would be able to admit to like a therapist or a social worker that, like, I am a member of a very rude Slimer community. Like, I could not have that sit with me.
I mean, this is why I was saying the other day, like, I cannot imagine anything that I like enough to, like, consciously join the fandom of. And I love so many things so much. Just like there are things that I like. Remember, I fucking talked about Real, the manga Real, for like half an hour, just uninterrupted, like tears in my eyes. I love Real. It's so good. I just got the 15th volume. I can't wait to read it. It's gonna make me weep. I will never join the Real fandom because, like, oh fuck, no, I don't like it that much. Jesus Christ, you kidding me? No, fuck. Just like what? Like, it's tough enough to live in this horrible world where, like, the only way to communicate is in the posting zone. And, like, it's dangerous enough to be in the posting zone, just sort of being like, I like cats. Here's a joke. What if someone who hated Bernie was actually talking about Bernie Taupin, Elton John's lyricist? That'd be funny. You'd think he's talking about Bernie Sanders. Like, that enough is scary. But then, like, you add, again, a dash of anti-sicko mindset, a dash of, like, now I will become a guy who is this. Like, this becomes part of me now. I don't know, dude. Posting's so like that's really the weak link here in the chain is posting that makes everything fucked.
I just keep coming back to that Groucho Marx quote, which I think is like, I refuse to join any club that would have me as a member. That's just how I feel about a lot of these.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is how, again, I go back to how do I interact with art? I put it in the bucket, and then I stick my head in the bucket.
Yes, dude. And you'll remember from a few episodes ago, I was a little annoying guy and was whining that the people posting about Elden Ring weren't right. And it's like, that's, again, like that's fandom creeping out and affecting me. But like, I wish I could say it was just like, psychic damage. But like, I got inflicted with like the annoying status effect. And like, it got into me too, and I became annoying. And it's like, oh my God, like, no, I don't want that. This is why, Joe, the Anbernic, aside from all the incredible reasons we explained why it's the purest avatar of good.
The thrill of stealing.
It's because it's for retro gaming. And fucking no retro game has a fandom of any scale. Like, me playing fucking Road Rash 2 on my fucking Anbernic is never gonna, like, make me get annoyed when I see someone have a wrong Road Rash opinion.
That would be so good, though. Like, personally, I think they're driving too fast.
I think it's unrealistic that when he flies off the motorcycle, your little guy gets up, no matter what he hit. Sometimes he died. It's giving kids unrealistic expectations of the safety of motorcycle racing.
I think for me, like, the distinction between, like, fandom and then when it's, I guess, toxic or, you know, the worst version of itself is when it goes...
To Lionel Hutzify it between fandom and fandom.
Yes, yeah. The way that happens is that you go from a bunch of people, a community that's based around a shared interest, and then people get transformed into foot soldiers and start implicating the real world around them. That was what was so annoying about the fucking Szechuan sauce thing at McDonald's, which is just like you had a bunch of people who were like, yeah, I love this show, and then it breached containment, and then it was people running around on counters. Like, there's that jump from theoretical to reality that is, I think, the issue.
Yeah. When either it implicates people who did not opt into this, which is that fucking Succession shit, or like I will never watch this show, but then as soon as people shut up about it, I'm like, damn, Jesse Armstrong made a second show. I can't wait to watch. And also, like, did you hear about this? So remember Westworld, the show that was existed as a tie-in advertisement for the toys at Walgreens?
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently, when you talk about fandoms having like effects over the real world, I saw an article that like apparently like Westworld really got bad or worse. I don't know if you never thought it was good. I never watched it, but apparently like Westworld got bad at like the second season finale because they had an ending that they had like been writing towards. It was like the ending of season 2 that they'd been foreshadowing the whole time. And some theorists on Reddit, on the Westworld Reddit, predicted it. Like, my theory is that this will be the ending. And the fucking showrunners of Westworld were looking at the Reddit. They saw that and were like, well, one of the things we love about doing this show is surprising our viewers. So we won't be doing that ending anymore. And so they did a stupider ending that did not have any foreshadowing or build-ups, and it didn't work. And like,
why can't it just be a called shot then? Like that would have been fine. People predict stuff all the time.
Like I talk about Mr. Robot, the show that I like, that is the most easy to make fun of me for liking show that there could ever be. Like, it has the first season has like the signature twist, and like the first thing that the character does, because the character like has voiceover narration that's talking to you, the viewer, throughout. The first thing he says when the twist comes is he's like, well, how long did you know about this? Because like the show knows, like, you're gonna fucking figure it out. ahead of time. Don't worry about it. Like, that's not gonna hurt anybody. Shit. You can't have it affect the real world. I mean, it's one thing to, be having fun with your friends. It's another thing to credibly send death threats to someone who has the wrong opinion about what rose quartz looks like. And, like, I don't know,
This is why both the Dune philosophy is correct, because none of this shit can happen in Dune terms. And I've said this before, I believe, which is the correct way to organize a society, one that is free of conflict and also sustainable, is everyone lives in groups of 300 people and everyone has a gaming PC. And
yes.
When you want to talk about a show or something you saw on your gaming PC, what happens is some members of your community will dig a hole, and then you stick your head in it, and you just say all the words you got to say about, secession. You just get it all out, and then they fill the hole up, and then they put like something spiky on it, like the way you make nuclear waste deposits seem like threatening.
There's nothing of value here. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not a place of honor.
Yeah, because like it's one thing to be like, well, you can't tar an entire fandom because of some bad seeds. It's like, yes, I agree. I'm not saying everyone in this group is tainted. I'm not explicitly saying that. But like, when you have that many seeds in a bag, one of them's gonna be bad, and when you have a bunch of bad seeds, one of them's gonna do something heinous, and it's just like, oh man, why would I roll the dice on that when I could just live in my 300-person community where I could just say everything in a spiky hole and no one's scared.
Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode.
Klaxon, emergency. Joe, Sickos HQ has been breached.
Yeah, I left the door open.
Yeah, fuck. Whitney Reynolds, you'll recall they went guesto mode many episodes ago, is here to rebut our dumb fucking points with expert testimony. Whitney, thank you for joining us.
Well, what's that potted plant in the corner? Haha, guess what? It was me all along, and I've been listening to you. And you've made some good points here, but you're also fucking dumbasses, and you don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I mean, the same could be said of literally any prior episode.
Yeah, you're going to have to go back and do the director's cuts where people come on and tell you you're dumb.
This feedback loop, though, is perfect, because normally an episode has to be finished and get sent out before there is, here's why you're dumb. We're not even done yet, and it's already happening.
Which I guess is sort of playing into the point of the bad parts of fandom, because you guys do have fans. But I want to tell you about how you are wrong in a lot of ways. You're right in some, but when Tom was first bringing up the topic of fandom on Twitter, I was like, well, what's your definition of fandom? Because to me, whatever a lot of people talk about, what you guys have been talking about, and it is mostly cis dudes who have this this definition, is this my thoughts. It's not what I know of as fandom, because for me it's the transformative version of fandom, the generative version of fandom, where it's like, oh yeah, I watched this show, and instead of just I'm not gonna be Chris Hardwick talking about hey man, did you see that show? I'm gonna go into a little zone and be like, now what else could happen on that show that would be interesting to me and to my homies? And that can be very cool and good.
I see that as an insulating force against the hell energy,
yes,
and against the anti-sicko mindset, because one of the core hellish things of the anti-sicko mindset is, as I say, replacing your identity with the thing, taking part of your identity out, putting in the trash, and slotting in a product instead. This insulates you from that, because you're still centering you and your creativity and your thoughts as the sort of crux of the fandom.
It's the definition that you boys have been talking about is a guy who's I'm a Star Wars guy. That's my thing. I'm a thing guy.
A comic book guy.
A Funko Pop having guy.
I'm that kind of, it's a consumer thing. I'm going to consume the thing, I'm going to eat it, I'm going to hold it in my belly, and it's mine. Whereas my definition of fandom is I'm in the Star Wars fandom. There's still an I there, and that's more important. I'm gonna just share it with my friends, and we're gonna pass it around the table, and we're all gonna gnaw on it a little. And it's ours now. I would say I've been like in fandom for about 25 years at this point, and it is how I've made like all of my closest friends. Just before I recorded this, I was talking to a couple of people online who I've been friends with for over 20 years because we met on the Final Fantasy Yaoi mailing list.
Oh, fuck yes.
Yeah. And we've been, friends for my entire adult life and before that. So
what? Okay, I want to ask, what do you think is there one? And if there is, what is like the tipping point from like friend group to fandom? Because like when we were talking about this, spoilers, we were talking about this before the episode. A lot of these experiences that you were talking about that are so nourishing and enriching for you, to me is like, well, this sounds a lot like you were just chilling with your friends, which like that's like that kicks ass. Rules. But like, when does it tip, or does it not?
This sort of ties into, you guys were talking about Reddit a lot, and I think a difference in these types of fandom, and it's sort of like Reddit versus LiveJournal, because like on a Reddit, people are just there talking about, hey, here's what's up with that. Let's talk about whatever the fuck the black smoke is, or whatever on Lost.
The fucking black smoke guy was so stupid.
I never watched that show because everybody sounded like they were having a neurological event when they talked about it.
Yeah, they were. Don't watch it. Sucked. I regret it deeply.
It's fine. I won't. But I'm sure like at the same time there was like a Lost LiveJournal community that was like where people had been like, oh yeah, I'm posting about Lost now, and somebody would find that and follow it and be like, oh hey, yeah, I like that too, and then like you would talk about if you want Sawyer to kiss somebody. I don't know that.
You would
that
want
show.
that.
Yeah,
he's dreaming.
Hunky, yeah.
It is insane that he hasn't had like any career after the show. He was so dreamy. He's got such a presence. Anyway, no.
but the way it like the tipping point is, it's not like I'm already talking with my friends about this thing. It's like I have found a person who also likes this thing, and now we're friends because we talk about it. Joe was talking about putting his head in the fandom bucket, and I feel like these are the kind of people who will put their head in the fandom bucket and then like fill their mouth with the goop and then just lean back and spray it upwards like a beautiful fountain. And someone will be like, oh wow, what an incredible goop spray. Let me try it. And you can tell me if you like my goop spray. And then everybody's just like, it's just beautiful. It's like the fountain at the Bellagio.
Mm-hmm. Is it okay. This is a thought I had, and I want you to tell me if it's accurate or not. In these groups that you have been a part of for so long that have given you such enrichment in your life and fulfillment, can I assume that like talking about the thing was not like the consuming like all for one, all end all be all topic that was discussed?
Yeah, it was we like the thing, but this is, I think, an important key of the type of fandom I'm talking about, is like when people see like here's a thing that was missing in the thing, or if like something I wish there was more of, which tends to be kissing, especially gay kissing. They'll go, okay, that part sucked, but I can fix that. I can put a little stank on that, and that's, I feel it's very, this is the sicko mindset version of fandom where you're like, this sucks, but it's still good. I can work with this, and then you talk with your homies instead of like the normie water cooler fandom. Like it's kind of normie fandom versus like freak fandom. Yeah, to be like, it's like, oh wow, can you believe what happened on the Dragon Incest show? And it's like, yeah, crazy. It's weird that we're talking about this at work.
Yes, it was. It just, and no one felt shame.
Yeah, no one was like, this is the jerking off show, right? Like,
yeah. Like, I gotta say, on the topic of shame, it is wild to me that I now will talk about this kind of fandom in public, and like the people now talk about their ships and their fanfic, because for a long time that was a secret thing that you never told anybody about, and I would be terrified for someone to find out I write fanfic.
I mean, I would think it's much more embarrassing for someone to find out that, like, you wrote a very red-faced, furious, like, seething post about, like, why don't you think Ted Lasso is sweet? And it's like, that's much, like, I remember that, like, 30 fucking post thread that one person did about how, like, if you don't like Ted Lasso, you're tired.
No.
It was nonsense. Like, that's...
One of the lines in there was like, if you don't... It was so fucking funny. It's like, if you don't like Ted Lasso, I bet you've never eaten pussy.
Oh, yes,
It was
yes. And that was the fucking...
It was
refrain.
so... Like, you don't like Ted Lasso because he eats pussy. It was, like, literally, like, the hinging of the argument. And, man, frankly, those were some good posts.
Like, there's no amount of fucking Yahweh fan art of a fucking Sephiroth and Cloud that will be anywhere near as embarrassing as that.
Yeah. That's it's I see people like that, and I'm like, you would be a lot happier if you would just write fanfic.
Yes.
If you would take these little ideas and go home and shape them into a beautiful clay doll that you can play with, instead of,
So your mention of fan fiction, I think, is a very important distinction to me, because like we're now talking about, I think, two types of fandom, which is one is like the just comic book guy consumption.
Yeah, one is product. One sees the object of their fandom as product, sacred product, and the other sees it as play space.
Yes.
And then the other one, which you're talking about, is an opportunity for generative content.
Generative, transformative. Yeah.
You have in the sicko mindset, you must admit a fault or shortcoming in your thing in order to realize that the thing to do is make a fanfic. Because if it was perfect, why would I do more?
Now, I will say this tends to be true. Things that are like super, super good, that are just like, damn, that was good. That was like perfect, tend to not have a big transformative fandom unless there's some people in it who should pork. So there's always some holes to be filled, if you will. I don't want to. Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, this is not to say that like the type of fandom I'm talking about is always about like, shipping and everything. There's just, some people might want to explore more of a certain character or story in a gen way. That's what the fanfics that are not.
This makes me also think about so I love the Yakuza games so much. Like they're fucking great. They're about getting in fights while wearing dress shoes. They're very fun. Yeah. But as far as like meme consumption and things that make me laugh, it's just stuff about how Kiryu is a dumbass who doesn't know anything. I love that.
I told Joe I've been playing Judgment, which is the Yakuza spin-off where you play as a private investigator who is actually smart, and it feels so fucking wrong to be running around Kamurocho and when people explain things to you, the guy's just like, yeah, that makes sense, and it's not like when the guy at the beef bowl restaurant is like, I've made a special beef bowl. Instead of going like, I don't understand. Explain to me what a beef bowl is. He's just like, that sounds good. Give me one. And it's like, holy shit, what's going on?
Yeah, Hiro had to learn about gay people from a stranger.
Yeah, Yagami knows about gay people. Anyway, where were we talking about?
But on that note of I feel like, again, this is just my mindset when it comes to fandom is like, I'm in a D&D game that is based on the Yakuza games, where I play a Yakuza named Greg.
What?
I don't want to get too off topic. But yeah, so I've been doing that for 6 months or so. Where I just we had a whole isekai arc where we got sucked into magical Japan as our Yakuza characters. So yeah, there's always I feel like I don't really want to read Yakuza fanfic very much, but I like to play in the space. Yeah.
You live Yakuza fanfic.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is pretty good. This is exposing us for fools and showing that there are many ways in which fandom does not suck ass. However, wait a minute, hold it. I think there was something I wanted to get to before that.
I wrote the note. I'm sure people who write Cumtown fanfic are pretty cool.
No, they're not. No, they're fucking not. Okay. Here's what I was gonna say. Something that I think is especially sort of cursed with the sort of Reddit and Discord type fandom communities
Yeah.
is they got mods who love to make people stay on topic. Because like when I asked before, I said, could you assume that this group doesn't exclusively talk about the thing? Because I was thinking about, like, I mentioned the Westworld forum before. On a Reddit, you're not allowed to not talk about the thing. If you make a post on the Westworld subreddit about hey buddy, like, how's your sister doing? I heard she was sick. They'd be like, off topic, and remove it.
Yeah.
It's not about making friends, because you can't unless you're talking about Westworld.
Yeah, you have to make it through like, hi, I like this character. Do you like them too? Now let me go into your DM so the mod doesn't yell at me.
Yep.
Yeah. On the topic of Discord, I would not. Here I am, a week away from turning 40. Entering a fandom Discord where people just talk about the thing is not something I would want to do, because this goes into your point of like, fandom is best when it's just like you and your friends talking, and things like that. It's a matter of scale. It's like, oh, suddenly this is too many people. I don't know their opinions, and they're just blasting at me in real time.
Yeah, it's not vetted.
Yeah. Whereas like with, I made a fandom Twitter last year for the first time, where I can just interact with people about the gay Chinese shows I like. And it's been great, because it's just been like, oh, so I'll see somebody's interesting post, retweet it, and then I just be like, oh, maybe I'll follow you, and then we'll become friends, and we do, as under the shared interest of, horny stuff that we like, and also sad things that we want to talk about.
What you're describing sounds very much like the natural experience of making a friend that makes life worth living, whereas joining a fandom Discord is so fucking scary.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
And I think okay, I'm becoming a genius and making a better version of my idea.
Proud of you.
The two ingredients that curdle a fandom into hellishness is, and both of them pull energy from the posting dimension, demon energy. The duo of hell is perceived ownership, which is to say, the thing is a product that is mine, and it is perfect, and it is my product in a special way, and it can never be.
It's a gatekeeper kind of thing too. Like, I have to keep it perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking degenerates are. You said there was fucking you seeing a fandom where people, the roguelike fandom, they're all calling each other degenerates. They think that degenerates are gonna come and like draw gay people kissing on their beautiful iron slab, and they're terrified of it. So perceived ownership is sin number one. And sin number two is active influence on the outside world, or just like internal like cannibalizing. Like, I fucking saw a video about some Roblox guy who is in charge of like a server where he makes a Sonic fan game in Roblox, and he's just like he's like an evil king who's like prima noctaing everyone. He's constantly DMing everybody and trying to like get them to send pictures, and they always are like, please stop this guy, and everyone's like, we can't stop the guy because he makes the game and we like the game. And it's just like, oh, this is hell. Like, this is actually hellish. Like, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And like, that amount of influence over people should never be given, and it only is able to be had when you are a posting guy. I mean, to recreate that level in real life, you would have to start a fucking cult, which is actively illegal. But this isn't illegal, I guess, to have a big posting zone. It should be.
A cult or a business.
Yeah, those are the same. It should be illegal to have a business.
Yeah, there is a problem where people will get in certain, the type of fandom I'm talking about is obviously not immune to that kind of shit. That you will get people who will send death threats because, oh, your ship wasn't endgame or whatever, or somebody, as you've said, like Drew Rosecourt's wrong. But those are the people who have anti-sicko mindset and cop brain.
They're cops.
Yeah, there's fandom cops. I won't say. It's not all roses over in my side of the world. But I was just thinking as you were talking, I know so many fandom marriages of people who met through like a shared interest of video game characters kissing, and then fell in love and are married.
They became the video game characters.
Yeah,
Who kissed?
Yeah, they did. They before the eyes of God and the state of Massachusetts.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we got to talk about the sort of ever-present but unobserved truth that you briefly mentioned, which is we got fans.
You do.
I don't know if I like that. I mean, this is kind of why I've mentioned in the past, like, that I don't want to do streaming, both because like streaming seems unfun to me, like when I'm playing and it's the sort of same thing about like when I'm experiencing art, the magic is happening inside of me. There is no other party. So like when I'm playing a video game, it's happening to me, and I don't want a third person there. But also like just like
But you don't want a third person there being like, this is also art that's in me and I'm not sharing it with you. You have if a third person was there and like on your wavelength, it might be different. But
well, that's like a home. That's like Joe.
That's a
playing
homie, yeah.
Streets of Rage 4 with me, not like an audience. And also like being a streaming guy, like that is a step on the road to like becoming a content guy.
Yeah.
I really don't want to do that. I'm trying to like to keep our homies, our like listeners from becoming the IRA like fucking Cumtown fans by like just I don't know, trying to be normal, not freaking
well
out.
you keep upgrading fans by having them on the show.
That's true.
Up to 2 times even. But that's when I think it shifts from being like a fan to like, or from being like a capital F fan to like a fan. And I feel like you guys have avoided having like capital F fans. There's not a lot of like Joe fan art out there somewhere.
I will say
Me
that
is a beautiful horse.
Yeah. Oh, you would be a beautiful horse.
I would be.
I gotta really shout out the Anime Sickos Discord for like I really like how you don't this is gonna sound sarcastic, it's true. I like how they don't talk about the show very much on the Anime Sickos Discord.
I'm not on the Anime Sickos Discord, and I've thought about asking, but I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm in enough Discords.
Yeah, it's fine. We were nervous about starting it, and like I don't know if we want to have this. It's gonna be scary, and it's always like, you never know. Like every time I join a Discord, it's so fucking scary.
Bakun had a good tweet about like having a Discord. Like, why would I do this? I am just enabling a bunch of people to get together and do a coup on me.
Yes,
that's what I'm encouraging.
Furnishing a big, lovely room for all of my haters to talk shit of me.
They're gonna take screen caps. They're gonna.
It is. I am so pleased whenever I check in. It's like they're talking about some other. It's just homies hanging out.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, someone will say something in the channel that's about the podcast. Like, episode was good this week, and I'm like, that's it. That's done. No more, please. That's it.
Yeah, in the main like Discord places where I hang out that are fandom related, it's just like, here's the channels where you can talk about whatever thing. But then there's also just like most of the activity is going on in like the hanging out, the posting pictures of your pets or like food you cooked or cracking jokes channel. Yeah. So again, it's talking with your friends is good, but you can make those friends through.
There is a platform issue, I think, about this, mainly that like Discord sucks. But because like if you wanted to just look at one channel on a server, you still have to join the whole server.
Yeah. Discord does suck. Yeah.
Yeah, it has become sort of an everything, and it is sort of like, to me, seems just like buckling under its own weight. But maybe I'm just using it wrong, and I just have avoidance issues, which is also probably the case.
Yeah, it's got its ups and downs. It's sort of just like, okay, well, this is the best we have, and also the fact that it's not as blasting your shit to the entire world as other options are, like Twitter and Tumblr. Oh, the freaks on Tumblr! My.
I just feel like the scale of posting is just inviting death, because it's easy to make friends and vet people when like the fandom is like 20 folks and fucking like they trickle in one by one, and if someone's a weirdo, you can just be like, go away.
You can wade into the pool.
I read this, and I don't know if it's true, but TikTok will show your videos to people that are going to disagree with it to spur on engagement, which that's the devil's work.
I mean, I believe that because, again, as I said earlier, everything evil and bad is heavily incentivized, and everything good can only lose money. So, like, that sounds evil and bad, so I'm certain that is, like, the primary function of their algo.
Yeah.
And this is, the fandom, as I am speaking of it, can avoid that because the things people do are very not monetizable. Except for, like, people who are drawing pictures of video game characters fucking, they can make some money on that, but it's not a broad, wide stream.
Yeah, it's sort of like a closed system because you can't advertise that. It has to be like the other freaks in the community are like, hey, I hear you got the goods.
Yeah, or it could be like, somebody is like, hey, I've written all this, and now that's given me the writing chops to write original fiction. But it's also like a lot of people who write fanfic have zero interest in ever like publishing real fiction. They're just like, no, I'm good. I just want to play in the space, and have fun. Or somebody has done a lot of fan art, and now they got a portfolio that they can work on the Owl House and get yelled at by teens.
Fucking teens.
Yeah, teens. I block anybody with a who puts their age in their profile that's under, that is a teen.
Okay. This I think is a critical data point in why your fandom experience has been so overwhelmingly positive. No one's roasted your shoes.
I mean, it's fine. They're very orthopedic. No, I didn't. I'm as I said, I'm almost 40 years old. I do not need to know the opinions of any teens. They do not need to see me. I don't even really want my teen nephew's opinion. I'm an adult. This has been one of the problems as things in the internet have gone along. A lot of people lament. They'll be like, "Oh, I miss LiveJournal," and like I do too, but I don't know if it's a thing that I could ever go back to. I think maybe what I miss when I say I miss LiveJournal is like I miss being in my 20s and the internet being smaller and just not knowing as much about the world.
You miss that specific context.
Yeah, I miss being a little bit dumber. And not being so it's just like I don't know if actually like that platform would really work anymore. I'm too addicted to the fire hose. Yum yum yum.
It just feels like my take on all this, if I were to sum it all up, is like fandom is just another word for let's find some folks with shared interest and make friends. And it's a completely good impulse that can only have positive side effects unless you live in a world where the only avenue for making these connections, unless you get very fucking lucky with the people who live around you, is to get online and use a medium that is controlled by the devil, where he's constantly throwing big red lightning bolts at you, and you have like a 30% chance to dodge each time. So even if you get lucky a few times, one of them's gonna fucking get you right in the heart and make your heart beat weird for a while. I will, Whit, if you will allow me the privilege of saying it out loud, I believe I will say a line that you said in our pre-show discussion, which I think is one of the smartest things anyone's ever fucking said. And I'll say it now.
Yes.
Fandom sucks because everything sucks. But it is also good because things that suck are good.
It's the Anime Sickos podcast.
I mean, we would be hypocrites if we said otherwise. We're always talking about how, man, this sucks, but I sure do love it. That's like our MO.
Yeah.
So this is, I feel like what wraps it up for me is that, fandom can be a beautiful thing that's not about getting graded or gamifying it or monetizing your passion. It's about writing a story for someone whose name and face you don't know, about a guy from Xenogears going to come down.
Which guy?
All of them, dude. Duh.
That makes sense.
That's how I made all my closest friends.
Now that you say it.
Yeah.
I feel like Ramses would bring the mood down.
Oh, and sometimes that's what people want.
Oh,
Get get the mood down. It's called angst. It's called angst.
I've heard of that. Anyway, folks, this was the first ever Anime Sickos episode where we're fully rebutted in real time, as opposed to everyone calling us out later.
It's my blue check privilege. That's why I'm allowed to do this. So you had to let me do it because I'm a blue check.
Yeah, thank
It's
you
a
so
good
much.
format because we don't even have to like worry like what are people gonna say. It's like oh, no, we've already been taken apart. It's done.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
It's a delight.
Where can people find you? What's your plugs and such? If you want to do
It's
that.
Whitney Arner is my main. I will not tell you what my fandom account is because it's none of your goddamn business.
You have to find it organically. You have to like the gay Chinese shows too.
You won't find it. You won't. I do not connect those things. I'm going back to not having everything in the same avenue. Just blasting it. No, I'm the prince in pauper's disguise, dancing among. And I have 100 followers, and it's incredible. You will never know it.
Sounds great.
Yeah, Whitney Arner on Twitter, patreon.com/Whitney Arner if you want some soup recipes. Listen to my episode, you'll hear.
Yeah. Those soups. We got good soups, folks. Anyway, that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. Thank you for listening. I have been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I've been Joe, an anime sicko.
I'm Whitney, an anime sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.